Welcome to Skyview, where we look at various astrology charts and discuss and share our insights. Hello, my name is Sharrie, and I'm an astrologer. The rest of the panel will introduce themselves.
My name is April, and I'm an astrologer and also an artist.
Hi, I'm Kim Green. I'm a therapist and an astrologer. I hope you enjoy our Starview insights.
All right, so we're going to look at a chart here. Bobby Kennedy. He is running for the elections, and we haven't had a chance to look at it, so we're doing a cold reading. Okay.
Right. And this is Junior's chart. Bobby Kenny Jr.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, Leo sun, that's very leadership oriented.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the sixth house of service, conjunct Mercury and Venus in a stellium, and North Node there, so something fated.
In a South Node. Oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking Chiron too. It's all in that sixth house of service. This whole stellium in Capricorn too. He's a hard worker.
But yeah, very focused, dedicated, probably controlling.
He's an environmental lawyer. I don't know if you knew that about him.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that really describes that right there. Like he's doing what he's supposed to be doing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, South Node in Cancer to me brings in all that caring and being protective. Moon in Cancer conjunct the United States Sun.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
But you know, he looks like a powerful leader, and on top of that, his MC is ruled by Aries. So he has a lot of like powerful, I mean, Leo as the ascendant, the Sun, which is the ruler of the ascendant, in the sixth house, in a stellium with Mercury and Venus. So that shows his thinking process, and his values are very aligned with service. And then, you know, his MC in Aries, that's very, looks like a dedicated leader.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely be a champion for a cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really into animals. He has a bunch of animals that he's trained, a bunch of different rescues and stuff. So that's pets. Like that moon in the 12th house there.
And sixth house of pets. He has a stellium in his sixth house, which rules pets. Also, an Aries on the 10th house, which is ruled by Mars, is with Saturn. So like really working hard, very, very dedicated to what he's doing. And in Scorpio, probably very passionate.
Yeah. And the 4th house is his family. You know, everybody knows him, his family.
It's a legacy.
He's got Neptune and Saturn and Mars on the 4th house. It's very like political legacy.
I would say very family oriented, with Mars in the 4th house, conjunct Saturn. So,
or he has to find a lot of balance between home and work life.
Right. Yeah. He just came out with this. You know, a lot of what he's campaigning on right now is his own recovery from drugs.
I was going to say that because I saw Neptune in his 4th house on his IC, but go ahead.
He talks about being an addict and having done heroin at a very young age, you know, early teens, and just his process of recovery. And he talks about the 12 steps being really important to him. And, you know, that's part of what he's campaigning with right now. And so it's interesting that, you know, these planets, they do signify like pain and loss and just coping and with drugs, you know, probably. Right, exactly.
On the IC.
Right there.
Sure that Uranus in the 12th house help with that.
Yeah,
Help
for
with the
sure.
addiction and recovery from it.
For
You know,
sure.
quick
Yeah.
change.
And then the ruler of his
Right.
IC, where Neptune is Venus, and that's in the sixth house, and sixth house is your habits, good or bad habits, whether it's addictions. So yeah,
Right. He talks about bringing like positive habits in to replace those negative habits. He, a lot of his stories really revolve around like being a better person. It's just that's that Capricorn, just gonna make that decision and go with it.
yeah.
And I guess
Um,
maybe the Vesta and Pisces, that is Vesta up there, isn't it? I don't have glasses on.
yeah, that's Vesta.
You know, where you keep maybe some home fires burning, maybe if he's trying to be a proponent for recovery now, like, hey, because, addiction's very Piscean. Um, hey, I didn't know that about him. I really don't know a whole lot about him.
But I've been
But,
just
but
learning
just
this
seeing his chart
recently.
makes me want to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Um,
what a legacy to stand up to coming from the Kennedys.
Yeah, and you would think that people would like him, but there's all this media around him being the Kennedy, the black sheep, which really is described in his chart, with the black moon Lilith right there on his IC, you
I was
know.
also looking at his Jupiter in the 11th house, which would make him a really potentially expansive leader over large organizations. Um, yeah, that's a good placement for it too. I'm surprised
Right.
that he's not
And
liked with that position.
you know, he'll be having a Jupiter return for the election.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
But
in
his
the 11th
Jupiter
house.
and his Jupiter, although it's in the 11th house, I just realized why. It doesn't have all that many aspects. It has minor aspects, which is an inconjunct to Mars, and then quintiles, which are pretty minor. So yeah, his Jupiter is not getting much help. So I wonder how helpful that will be for him in the elections then. If
Right.
Jupiter it's first of all, it's in Gemini, so it's already in its fall or detriment. I don't know
Mm.
which it is.
Right, I
And
can't remember either, but and
yeah,
it's an
I don't know
intercepted
that.
sign.
And an
And
intercepted sign. Wow. I
right,
wonder how that will work for him. But
right. It's
that's where
interesting.
that's where the Kazemi happened to though. Sun
Right.
and Venus.
And
And still
Venus.
in range with the sun and Mercury because it was at 23 degrees. So it's in the area of both. But
Yeah,
well, maybe based on his progress sign, maybe it's not intercepted anymore, which will be fascinating to look at to see if it
right.
picked up that Jupiter and gave it a chance. So
Well, and hey, how old is he? He's pretty old, huh? Okay. Because usually intercepted signs, that energy comes out later in life, like usually prompted by some different events
Right.
in your
That was
life.
what I
So
was gonna say
maybe,
too.
maybe his, you know,
yeah,
Jupiter magnify his communication, everything that he stands for being communicated to the world is where his
Right. And
Jupiter.
right now he's having to basically just campaign online. It's just a lot of that online
11th
presence
house.
because he doesn't really get
oh,
to
online, that makes
do it.
sense.
Yeah, and he's doing it in a unusual way, a not
Yeah,
traditional way.
that makes
Yeah,
sense. And yeah, yeah. Not just the fact that it's intercepted, but the fact that it doesn't have, the best aspects. That's the other reason for the Jupiter. But maybe in progression, something has come around and maybe shaken it up a little. So
right.
I'm curious to
Mm,
see that. I really want to watch that and see what happens.
right. And isn't Uranus going into his 11th house right now? Isn't it going over that mark there? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
It's
be a
right
while.
on it. Yeah, because I think it just hit
Yeah.
25.
But yeah, it's right on it. Exactly. Let's put up the transit. Well, I kind of wanted to finish talking about his chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I wanted
see.
to mention the South Node
Yeah.
conjunct Uranus as being a sudden, unexpected loss,
Mm.
describing his father and his uncle
Yeah, trauma.
being, yeah, and trauma. Yeah.
And the ruler of the 12th house is in that sign too. So yeah, that seems like something that is very likely to happen. Wow.
Yeah.
But then he's got all those helpers on his north node. So even though he's coming in with his trauma to this life,
Right, but it's meant
or suffered
to,
the trauma in his youth, he's got
right, I could
Venus.
see it as healing eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult because that stellium, I mean, yeah, they're conjunct each other and helping each other, but that's all they have because there's only squares and then minor aspects and an opposition. Square, opposition, minor. So it doesn't really have, other than that group of planets working together. And the other thing too is that your north node, when you're younger, it's usually an area of your life that you're not ready for. You have to mature into, and those
Right, right.
he has not been able
Yeah.
to use them in the way that he should be able to, maybe until now. So that really does
Right.
show a lot about his healing journey, sixth house healing journey for health.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're working together probably to help him because there's no other planet that's making a positive aspect to it other than that own conjunction working by itself.
Yeah.
Um, what else? What about his Pluto in the second house? That usually means money. I mean, and
Oh, well, then,
Yeah.
yeah, it only has one positive thing, and that's a sextile to Neptune, which, yeah, that's not really that much help, but
And what's funny is that he's married to a famous lady also, and so his Juno conjunct Pluto is kind of interesting right there. He's
exact conjunction.
who's he married to?
yeah, I can't remember her name, but she's like a famous comedian
Well, shoot, if she's
from
famous, you should remember her name.
I know, right? Yeah.
Well, hey, let's Google it real fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say I should look it up real quick.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know. Um, okay, so his addictions, that I guess that would have a lot to do with that 12th house and that sixth house, because that's the health axis and the mental health.
Yeah, it's loaded up there, and yeah.
Yeah. And his chart configuration is more like a bowl. I just want to keep talking while you guys are looking it up. So
Cheryl Hines. I have no
Yeah,
clue
I'm
who
not
she's
Cheryl
an
really-
Hines.
actress.
Yeah.
his approach to life will start out from a very Jupiter perspective, maybe very optimistic and ready to meet his goals in the 11th house. And then his end result is very mercurial. So, and it's with the sun. So and it's burnt though. So I don't know how effective his Mercury has been for him. So as far as being very constructive in his thinking. But
Right. He's been a very successful environmental lawyer.
okay,
He helped clean up the Hudson River.
okay. So it
He
has
was very instructive for that. So, when I look at his chart, I see him really working it really well. Um, but
that's that.
it's more towards the, later part of his life after a lot of he talks about his failures, a lot, and that's sort of what he's campaigning on, which is interesting because everybody knows that the Kennedys have all this trauma and they bring, a very loaded, just everything, all this baggage with them because of
Yeah.
how recently in our memories, these people were his family members were killed. And so, and it's not just for him, it's for all of us too, so I don't know, I see his pieces of fortune in Aquarius,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it almost seems like it doesn't matter if he is, becomes president or not, but he's putting all of this work and effort into um trying to shine a light on something. um Aquarian, with his relationship to others.
Right. The other thing as you were speaking, I was thinking of the crisis and the trauma he's dealt with is that his eighth house ruler is Uranus, and it's in the 12th house of losses with his south node. So it's almost like he's repeating a karmic theme of these unexpected losses, which are around family, because it's in Cancer and the moon is there. So yeah, wow.
Yeah, because it's not just his uncle and his dad has a lost. He's lost other family members because,
Yeah, they do
uh,
have quite a tragic.
A lot of family members, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there may be
I
money and
find
power,
it
but there's a lot of
interesting
tragedy.
that I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, I said they might have a lot of money and power, but there's a lot of tragedy in that family.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Kim. What were you saying?
His chart kind of reminds me of my daughter's chart because she's also South Node in Cancer, North Node Capricorn, sixth house, going to law school, and she wants to do animal rights and protection, which is very similar to the
Mm-hmm.
environment.
Mm,
Leo rising, and she's extremely caring person. So, I mean, just looking at his chart, I just see somebody that I would want to vote for, as opposed
Yeah.
to the other choices so far that we,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you
When
know.
you look into his a lot of his campaign videos, they make me tear up and stuff. I'm just like, we really need him, and I don't want to be so naive, but I'm looking at his chart thinking like, wow, maybe we have a chance.
yeah. Maybe he
Well, I
does.
just keep seeing that 13-degree Cancer moon on the 13-degree America sun, and it's like the moon. He loves our country, or I mean, that's how
Hmm.
I'm taking that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I feel it, when he talks
he grew
about
up
why
in,
he's running. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
cool.
What do you all think
Yeah.
about that Neptune on the IC? I mean, I know it's addictions, but addictions maybe that run in the family. Is his
And, well,
family?
and also dreams. I mean, all his families dreamed of a better America, or they've always dreamed of, I guess, being in politics.
Right.
So maybe
The like
it's kind of a
idealism.
idealistic type
Idealist.
family
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
mixed in with the, you know, addiction's always kind of the other side.
Mhm.
With
Right.
Black Moon Lilith on the other side of the IC.
Right. I was just thinking
So,
that it's like these.
Also, I was thinking maybe the reason he was able to overcome so much, I mean, his addictions is that help he's getting with that trine to Mars and Saturn that gave him the discipline to overcome his crisis and the addictions in Scorpio. And maybe that's maybe there was some transit that came through that triggered those two planets that helped him to overcome it. Because
yeah.
it's the only positive aspect it has from the 12th house.
Mm.
I'm wondering, that's in Scorpio. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't. Do you know when he started to recover?
Um, I'm not sure. I'm not
That's,
exactly sure. Uh,
let's see. Hmm. Okay, so are we ready to do the transits?
Sure.
yeah. Mm.
Um, no.
Are we going to look at today, or are we going to look at
Yeah,
an event?
we'll go today and then we can look backwards if there's something is like getting our attention. Like you said, that Uranus on the 11th house is kind of very activating, very energizing, very electrifying. So he feels probably very charged up. Um,
Yeah.
with even like you said, the internet that he's doing his campaigning from, reaching large groups of people through that medium.
Right. And like releasing online documentaries.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Fascinating. Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
And Pluto is transiting back towards his stellium.
yeah. Yeah, so that means it had been going over his stellium for the past, what, 15 years?
Yes, for a long time. And
And
he,
that's when he
the
started
reason why
healing.
yeah, and the reason why his voice is so raspy is because he got some kind of neurological disease that he has been fighting, And so, you know, that's another thing that he's healing also, like in the physical body actually too.
I
So,
wonder if that came
Hey,
about
and
when
there's that
Pluto,
intercepted Gemini.
yeah,
I wonder if that came about when Pluto entered his sixth house, where he ended up with
right.
that neurological thing.
That probably is thinking
Especially when it
that.
hit Chiron. That would make sense. Wow.
And
But now
Mars
that it's
transiting the 10th right now. Mars is in his 10th house, so
yeah, that's very
his
powerful for him.
status. But so is Chiron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but he has become the healer. He is a wounded healer. The way that he talks about himself and the way that he
Yeah.
talks about wanting
Yeah.
to take back the country. You know, some people think that Trump talks a certain way about taking back the country, but this man actually talks about taking back the country in a way that is respectful, actually.
Right. And it's actually retrograding over his MC Chiron. So it'll be there for a little while.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like
Yeah.
a message to the public, in a way that is of service in the sense it's in the sixth house. Wow. Hmm.
Right. And his wounds are going to be out there anyway. They're going to dig him up. They're going to like, try to
Might as well
expose
put it up.
him.
Oh
Might as well
yeah.
just put it out there. That's part of his campaign, actually. It's
I might
pretty
as well expose
genius.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if he had
Yeah,
anybody, if he
use it to your advantage.
if he was high or drunk in a gutter, somebody's gonna put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he shows pictures of himself when he knows, like back when he was messed up, you know, as part of his story. He's like, this is who I was. You know, I'm impressed by that. Of the ability to tell the truth as a politician, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and in a way too, he had no choice because if you're going to run for office, somebody's going to put it out there. So the
Exactly.
other side to that is that, maybe he's already covering his ass and covering his bases before it gets blown up in his face. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I
But
mean,
that's that untraditional way of campaigning also too.
for sure.
Has he ever held any other type of office? Do you know?
Um,
He been a senator
I
or a mayor or
don't remember.
a governor or
I don't remember. Hmm.
He's getting ready to have a Black Moon Lilith return probably next year or the year after that in his third house. I can sometimes bring some intense experiences, something very transformative through some kind of crisis, possibly. Maybe with a sibling since it's in the third house, but that's predictive. Um, hmm. Vesta
Right.
is getting ready to cross over his. Let's put it on the election date. We should, right?
Right. Yeah, because
yeah, when's
that's
that?
You guys know what date
the
that is?
5th, the November 5th.
November 5th. Let's just make this AM. Oops. Okay. So November 5th. Oh, Venus will be right on his MC.
The sun and all,
Wow.
yeah. The sun coming right up.
And Venus
And
rules
Vesta.
Yeah.
and his 11th house. Also,
Moon in the 7th.
On his descendant. Well, no, because it's 26, 3 degrees. Yes, right.
Well, that's just by 1 degree. It's still conjunct that descendant. Yeah.
And it's actually going to stay there for maybe the rest of that day because that whole day is the election day. Now, Uranus is conjunct the moon. Oh, so it's going to be, is it, do I have the right thing?
These are his
I got the wrong thing.
progressions.
I'm like, why is Uranus?
I was like, wait a minute. These are his progressions. But look at his progressed moon on the descent. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, let me
So
do
this
it.
is his progress chart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
and
his
I'm
progression.
thinking,
Oh, well, we could look at it for a sec.
yeah, but I'm just going to put the other one up for,
I gotcha. Yeah.
so it's ready to go. All right, so
There we
let's
go. Yeah, so I was like,
I
Pluto
find
should
that
be
cool
right
that his
there.
progress moon's in Aquarius, and he's running for president. That's cool.
Yeah, look at that.
yeah, so
Okay, so this is.
progress moon, so it's actually really going to be there. And
Well, it still says secondary progression.
Yeah, I know, I left it. Do you want the
You
transit?
left it, yeah.
I'll do that instead. I thought we'd continue with it since we already started, but let's
Oh,
do
you
it.
mean the progressions for the election date? Well, I mean,
Both of them are for the
oh,
election date.
okay.
Um,
Transits out.
Right, yeah, because Pluto right there on his
Oh, the
descendant.
Chiron on the 10th don't look so great.
Yeah, but that's him, being the wounded healer. Uh, I think that he has actually been bringing that in.
And that's what we need. We need a healer as a
Yeah,
president instead of a bunch of bullshit
yeah, that would be nice.
politicians, you know?
Yeah.
yeah,
For somebody who's been through some serious wounding that is ready to like share how to overcome it, come from a
right.
different perspective rather than being so driven by their ego.
Exactly. Yeah, because that was part of his speech. It was on a documentary he put out called Recovering America. Is that he went to a bunch of different recovery centers that are doing it different, and saying that this is what he would be doing as president. It's just trying to find these different recovery centers that are doing it different, doing it better, more success, and trying to put more government funding towards those types of things.
Yeah, well, that's certainly a different approach from what we've ever had before.
Yeah.
We could use something.
And
I'm not
the
frozen
sun will
anymore.
be
I
transiting
think
his
that's
Mars.
awesome. I think
Like you said,
we need a president that's focusing on something relevant to the country rather than war and crap overseas. You know, mental health recovery centers. That's something that, hey, it's a great platform.
Yeah.
look at the ruler of his MC on his ascendant. I think you said that. Did you say that yet? Okay, if you didn't, because I was texting. Mars, the ruler of his MC, is on. That is like wow. And then Jupiter is going to be retrograding over his natal Jupiter for the whole year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
And zero is a critical degree. Zero Leo with a
Ah.
Mars on the ascendant. Yeah.
New beginnings.
Yeah.
Um,
Mars on ascendant, and then the sun will be transiting his Mars.
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
just a wow. So it's like double
Mm-hmm.
Mars action. Um, hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Hey,
Let's
and Pluto in the 6th house, transiting the 6th house. What a time to be elected.
right on his Mercury.
Your everyday is gonna totally
And when Pluto does that
transform.
final retrograde, and especially if it hits a planet, it gives you the rewards if you've done the hard work. So if he healed his addictions while Pluto was going through his 6th house, now that it's leaving, he may get that reward of being a president.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very interesting to see. What is his
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
we
Look
would
at
get the
and
reward too.
look.
I was gonna pull up the grid to see if we can see like Pluto. Okay, Pluto is gonna conjunct, right? Well, we already know that, but it's squaring Neptune,
Right.
and Uranus is squaring Pluto. Those are the hard aspects. Yeah, Uranus squares Pluto and Pluto square Neptune.
And if he were to become the president, it's not really an easy job. It'd be really hard.
Oh yes, it will,
Yeah.
because um also I guess too getting through all the delusional or lies or deception
Yeah.
with Pluto square
Mhm.
Neptune in his 4th house.
Yeah.
But it already did. It's leaving. It's the last square because it's at 26 degrees. So, oh, I know what it is. Getting over his healing because his addictions. When it was squaring it at
Mhm.
26, I wonder if that's when he started to work on healing before it got to it. because Pluto was there for a while. Let's see when it got to 26 degrees, because maybe that was his trigger. Pluto is at 22, 24. So about here, 2 degrees before squaring Neptune was when? 2021? That would be too recent to be serious. How long has he been clean? I guess that's the
Um,
word.
I'm Googling it right now.
all right. Because I'm curious.
Well,
It could have, okay, when it was conjunct his Venus, then which rules his 4th house. Or when it got to his Chiron, let's see.
hey, I just did when did Bobby Kennedy Jr. recover? And it didn't bring up anything about addiction, but it brought up something about he was previously treated after a worm ate part of his brain and died inside of him. Y'all heard anything about that?
I don't know.
That's probably the neurological
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
worm.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where it stemmed from. So
It
Pluto
just has recovering heroin. Yeah, it's not giving me dates really.
Right. It said that he was addicted to heroin for 14 years. And he had said that he tried heroin. I think he said he was 14 or 15. It was very young. And so,
Yeah, it said he went. I found something that says it's an interview, and it said he shares his story of addiction and recovery, discusses the importance of going to meetings for over 40 years, his vision for healing
Mhm.
over
farms to
40
expand the
years. Okay.
models of addiction recovery in the drug crisis in America.
So it
I
was a
think
long
that
time.
sounds awesome. Healing farms. Maybe it's like farms where people would go to recover. Maybe they work on
yeah, that's one of the things that he went and visited was like a farm where people go and
yeah,
stay and they learn how to,
and
do stuff like
they
farming.
cultivate the earth, and probably that would be definitely a healing modality.
So that was
Yeah,
some time ago then. It's been a while.
Because
Because
people,
I think it's been a while.
well into
Yeah,
his 70s, and so maybe in his 40s or 50s he recovered.
if
probably
he's been to
because,
meetings
around his
for 40
Chiron
years,
return,
he probably had to be pretty young.
I would guess his Chiron return probably was around when he was recovering, if I had to guess. Like
Yeah,
ultimately, that's when you really deal, because like you can get sober, but then still have those
yeah.
triggers and issues that you're dealing with, and so Chiron return comes around, and that's when you start really solidifying what kind of healer, what kind of healing you need, and what kind of healer you're going to become.
If you're open to it, otherwise it can just take you out. So
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
right.
speaking about it in a positive light
and
right
since he's still around, that must have been what happened.
now.
If not, you'd be in the gutter somewhere, or not.
Yeah. Could you imagine though going through your Chiron return with that stellium right there? Oh my God.
I
Oh my
know.
God.
And Pluto. I mean, Pluto too, because
Mhm.
that's also intense. That's hitting a lot of personal planets and
Yeah.
your sun. Pluto on your sun is no joke. I wonder if that's when the worm thing happened.
I think
Because
so, probably.
that, yeah, in his brain, um,
Yeah.
because Pluto on the sun will bring up some severe crisis, and the sun is the ruler of his chart, so that's him personally getting affected.
hmm
Wow.
Yeah.
Saturn is moving into his 9th house. So, all that media and broadcasting makes sense.
Right.
Um,
In Pisces,
mhm. And to do the
it's the
marketing,
right. And the media, the videos, the um,
putting
yeah.
himself in a public way. And Saturn rules his 6th house of work. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, it says it was in 2010 that he was experiencing memory loss and mental fogginess that was so severe that a friend thought he might have a brain tumor. So I guess around 2010 is when he found out he had
And
a
Pluto moved
parasite.
into Capricorn 2008, so
Eight,
Right.
yes.
I was gonna say.
so I guess when it was moving in, right away, what was Pluto affecting then? Nothing
Okay,
really.
because then it says in 2012,
Right, but it was just crossing over
when
his
they saw
sixth house
a
cusp.
dark spot on his brain scan. So yeah, it was probably yeah in the
It was
early 2000s.
retrograding back and forth over a 6th house cusp. Wow.
Yeah, it's probably a whole sixth house journey. Yeah.
Ah,
Pretty
and
wild.
then while it's there, it was probably touch and go when it hit his Chiron, his North Node, his Venus, then his Sun, and then his Mercury. Oh my God. Wow. Probably a lot of health crises during that time. And the North Node was there, was conjuncting Pluto during that period.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something he really needed to just go through, however difficult it was.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you find new what? Sorry.
I wonder how a worm gets into your brain. That's pretty
Well,
freaky.
if you eat like uncooked pork or something that's
Uh-huh.
not cooked, pork
Yep.
that's not cooked enough, it's one of the ways actually.
That's one of them for sure.
So I guess they
Mhm.
just go traveling around your body.
Oh yeah,
mean-
they go all over.
Wow.
Well, most of us have some type of parasite.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's hope you don't have the one that wants to go to your brain. I mean,
Yeah, right.
that is pretty intense. All right, let's do the progress so we're not, you know, here all night. Okay, this is his progress chart for November 5th. And we already said that his progress moon is moving into his 7th house on his 7th house cusp.
Yeah.
On connection.
Chiron will be conjunct his sun. More Chiron action.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and the sun, his progressed sun will be at 8 degrees Aries. And in step astrology, 8 degrees is I commit. So I commit to a cause, being president.
Right.
And he's just going through a nodal return too. 3rd nodal return. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's the progressed.
Oh,
So I don't.
The
thank
progressed
you.
node, yeah.
Thank you for reminding me because I could get lost on
Yeah, hey, I got lost too, so don't feel bad.
But his progressed
all these
Venus
charts.
But his progress
and
Venus is on his MC.
Venus on the
Have to
MC and
remember progress.
Vesta, you know, Vesta can, you know, his commitment, all the stuff that he's been working towards, you know, the right on the MC
Mm-hmm.
on the 5th.
Yeah. I don't see anything like a critical degree. His ascendant, progressed ascendant is at, let me look at it by itself because it's hard to see it. I think that may be, oh, it's at 26 degrees. So that's not yet a critical degree.
Virgo, which is, you know, that, you know, the archetype of the 6th house and the daily.
This may be the one thing that lets him down. Because based on what I'm learning, you know, because based on what I'm learning, when the ascendant moves into Virgo, it's like one of the houses that doesn't really allow you to take center stage because Virgo is behind the scene. So
Right.
one of the more difficult transitions is from Leo to Virgo. Because Leo, you're shining, you're out there, and then Virgo wants to take a step back and be behind the scenes. So that could be his letdown, but it is getting into a critical degree. So maybe it's a sign that he's finishing up the sign. I don't know.
I was gonna say it's towards the end of the degrees. It'll be going into Libra, which is the house of others.
Right. Which would be, you know, a lot better for him as an air sign, a cardinal sign, and all that. His MC in Virgo, I mean in Gemini, that's helpful for the media and the, socializing.
Right. And Jupiter being in the ninth house there in Gemini, or describing his campaign again with the, online, you know, just because it's also little bits and pieces. It's not a big production. There's a lot of just little bits and pieces being put out. So it's very Gemini.
Right. Here's another thing too that could be a letdown. His ascendant is intercepted. So
Right.
that could also cause a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But Mars is on
Right.
his
But
IC. Go ahead, what were you saying?
I was just gonna to mention though that the secondary progressions are supposed to be more of an internal, um,
Right.
the way that
Yeah,
he feels. I
but
just kind of
sometimes
want.
true, but they can also manifest external.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They are more internal, but they can also be, because even if it's internal, for example, the mindset of a Leo person is different from a Virgo. So that transition on an emotional level, where you want to take the center stage, when you go into Virgo, you really don't. Because it's a shift inside. So
Right. That makes sense.
we can look at the definitely solar arc too, which is going to be similar to this anyway. That's also the other thing to say, because the ascendant and the descendant tends to follow the solar arc. So that really brings events, and then that would match this. What I'm saying anyway. The Mars though on his IC, like a very, homeland. I'm determined to like fight for the country, be strategic,
Mm-hmm.
the trailblazer, to do things, as a warrior.
And there's a grand fire trine happening because of that,
And
with Mars and Venus and Pluto.
that's very helpful, and a kite actually too, because Neptune is at
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see.
actually two kites to Pluto. Here's a second kite. Am I doing
That's
it?
interesting.
No, it's one. It's one, but it's a second mini grand trine.
Right.
Yeah, one kite. Okay.
Is that a mystical triangle over there
I would
that
say
you're looking at?
almost. A
Right.
mystical rectangle, you mean?
Oh, right,
Close here.
rectangle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
I was just looking at the sextiles.
Yeah. And it's almost doing a Star of David if it connected here. Well, it's like missing three of them. So never mind that. Yeah, but the trine is very good for him,
Yeah.
That's very beneficial. Coming from his Pluto to his
And
Mars.
fire trying at that. Yeah.
Yeah, fire trine. Maybe that's why he's so motivated to do this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because he's on fire, essentially. Just it's
And hey, I think it goes back to that 13-degree Cancer moon, motivated by love of country.
mhm.
And that Mars on the IC.
Yeah.
And it's a ruler of his MC. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's look at his solar arc, which I believe is going to.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is, how you were saying the progress chart is more emotional. His solar arc is I guess because he has an intercepted signs, it's not following the same ascendant when in the solar arc. So
Right.
it's Libra.
Huh.
His MC is in Cancer, homeland, country, traditions.
Yeah. At 0 degrees. Wow.
Very motivated cardinal sign too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of cardinal energy. Well,
Wow.
Cool. We'll
wow.
have to see what happens.
Yeah. Does he have anything at a critical, Jupiter is at 28 degrees. Let me see. Yeah,
You know,
because
and all those progressions, that whole stellium is in Aries now.
yeah.
That
Yes, fired up. All that fire energy now.
Mhm.
He finally got the fire that he's born with from that Leo
Right.
ascendant. And
Yeah.
his Jupiter is at a critical degree in the 11th house. So he's also
In
gonna
Leo.
put himself out there in Leo. Yeah.
Is that conjunct his Pluto, his natal Pluto, I think?
Yeah, I
What's
think it was like 28 or 29 Leo,
Yeah.
what let me bring it up.
natal Pluto.
That's his natal, that's his solar direct. I don't know, don't know what you guys were necessarily speaking of, but that's his natal, and then do I have that right? His natal chart.
Yeah.
He's not a Taurus.
No,
It
the time is wrong.
Oh,
has
that's Bobby Kennedy, not Bobby Kennedy Jr.
no, I typed
Right, but
that.
she did, yeah.
Oh,
But what's the time?
Mm,
we don't know.
1732.
Yeah, I have 5:32, which is the time. I don't know. Maybe I have to redo the location. Sometimes this software is crazy that way.
Right. Yeah, because I think that's what it's doing to you.
Yeah,
This says
'cause it
time
was
zone.
red. Yeah, it was red. It wanted
There
me
we
to
go.
recreate new chart, update, save
Oh,
chart.
24 Leo. This is Pluto.
Okay, so that's right.
That's still conjunct within 5 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
It's been conjuncting solar arc wise. It's been doing it.
Yeah, the only thing
And
that's scary is this Pluto is getting ready to conjunct Saturn, and Pluto and Saturn are not friends.
right. But he does have Capricorn stellium, and Saturn is his planet. Yeah.
Mm. Hmm. And Mars is conjuncting his sun and getting ready to conjunct his Mercury.
It's Mercury, yeah. You know, Mars, there's a lot of Mars action going on with the transits and progressions.
Very active.
You
And
know, he,
it's at a critical degree too, at 28 degrees.
right. I wanted to read this quote that he keeps saying on his campaign trail. He's saying, "Give me a sword and some ground to stand on, and I will give your country back to you."
Isn't that what I said about Mars on the ice?
Hell yeah.
The warrior, he's ready to
I
fight
know,
for the
right?
country.
I'm just like,
Funny.
yes.
That's so funny.
I like that.
Oh my God. You think I'd read that
Yeah.
quote? That's funny.
Oh yeah. Let's see, that's Pallas conjuncting his Mars.
Hmm.
You know, that's that
I,
fighting, fighting for justice, the
Yes.
truth.
Yes. Very
In
strategic too.
Scorpio.
Because she puts out, and Mars is strategic, and so is Pallas.
Yeah.
So yeah. He is not doing this all willy-nilly, it's intentional, and he's trying to do this in a very different way to maybe reach different groups of people. Um, so he's not very traditional in his approach, but it is strategic too at the same time. And Mars conjunct that Mercury too. Even this whole thought process is very planned out and in Capricorn, methodical, yeah,
Hmm.
practical,
Very
ambitious.
strategic.
And Mars in Cancer, I mean in Capricorn is extremely strong. That's where it's exalted. So he
Mm.
has a lot of
yeah.
firepower going.
Hey, and what's funny, that Mars is 1 degree away from the other guy we were going to talk about.
See that, the Mars can give you power and give you action and the drive, or it'll start attracting attention to you that you didn't want.
Bring up challenges and fights and,
Yes,
competition. But
right.
I think he's, because it's in Capricorn and it's with Saturn and conjuncting that stellium. I think it's very intentional. I think it's being used in a way that's very practical, even though Mars
Mhm.
tends to not be practical. I think it's because it's in Capricorn, it's getting used in a very practical way. And it is the ruler of his MC. So yeah, I don't think it's just something that he's acting on out of the blue. I think it's something he's been thinking about for a while and is, ready to do it.
Yeah, and that Saturn hasn't quite conjuncted that stellium yet. It is going to hit all of those planets one
Mhm.
by one in the years to come.
Mhm.
So, just describing the hard work that's ahead of him, I think,
Yeah.
regardless of what happens in the election.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Saturn is in rulership there too. Mars is exalted. Wow. What firepower.
Yeah.
Like we saw in his other chart, we had all this fire. Well, no, it's this chart actually, because his Jupiter is in a fire energy. This is in fire. And although this is Capricorn, Capricorn can, with hard work, and it has the power to, deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's the sign, one of the signs of manifestation, because that's, Saturn's job is to make something physical and real.
Yep.
Or
Material
in the sixth house of the daily uh, routine.
and being of service can materialize his leadership position in being of service. And yeah,
Right.
Capricorn is leadership too. That's a boss.
Yeah.
It's also
Yeah.
government. Yeah. Hmm.
Right.
That's interesting.
Doesn't Neptune signify politicians?
Yeah,
Like,
because they have to hold back a lot of secrets behind the scenes. Yeah, it does.
right. So yeah, Neptune progressed in the sixth house on all of the Capricorn. It'll be, conjuncting that whole stellium as well.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Go, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
has some good potential.
I was excited to see some stuff going on in his chart. It's not just like you said, it's not like willy-nilly. This is very intentional. So
And if he didn't intend it, his chart did.
yeah, exactly. It's meant to be.
Yeah, his North Node is just putting him in that direction. So he has no like challenges from his solar arc. Let's do tight aspects. Only Mars conjunct Sun in a tight aspect, which is very efficient for this kind of work that he's trying to do.
Mhm.
Hmm.
We definitely need something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys want to look at his solar return? One last thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this too long because solar return. November. Yeah, I think that would work for this year. Um, let's see. I don't. I wish it would stop taking away the actual chart. I try to have it open before I do this.
Right. Well, we're just winging it this time, so that's why, you know.
Yeah. Kennedy, I don't even see him. When it was saying it needed to save it, I should have read it, and I was like, it's saving it in the right place. I don't know where it saved it to. This is more work to edit.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
trying to reduce my edit work.
You're getting a lot of practice.
That is for sure. I mean, doing my own videos is practice, much less this. Oh my God. Okay. You know, guys see Kennedy anywhere here?
So you can't go from the chart you got pulled up and just click solar return?
I got the solar return, but it takes away the natal chart and put the solar return. So you have to go
Well,
back
that's
and
fine.
find the natal chart. We're gonna need it.
Oh,
All right,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about if I can't find it after this click. Kennedy, there. He's saved under study group. Okay.
Study group. Okay, perfect.
All right.
solar
All
return.
right.
So this is a
Right.
solar.
Look at there.
God, is he having a
It's
Leo?
on
What?
him, just like Prince Charles's chart.
Are you kidding me? I had to double
Wow.
check. Wow.
Wow.
Astrology doesn't lie, huh?
I know,
That
right?
is crazy.
And look, it happened right when Sun was conjunct Pluto in January. Remember when they had that
Yeah.
together
Sun
into,
Pluto.
and that
Yep, with the
stellium was
North Node, right, on his
Hey, and all
MC.
that 10th house stuff.
What was
Look at
that?
all that stuff in the 10th house.
yeah, right?
North Node in the 10th house.
With the moon and Jupiter and Uranus. I
And
mean, really? I mean,
hey,
and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction,
Bobby.
you know what we were forgetting? It did happen on his 11th house, that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on April 20th at 24 degrees
Right,
happened on his natal 11th house cusp.
right, exactly. On that cusp because of the degree. Yeah, yeah. I think that's really significant.
Yeah, I think so. It's a 14-year cycle, so
Yeah. And he has Mars and Mercury conjunct in the 6th house in Capricorn.
yeah. And they all at Capricorn stellium. That's
Yeah,
so fascinating.
yeah,
Venus
I
Ceres
know.
conjunction in the 5th. I mean, that sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe he's very passionate
It's
about
a lucky house. Um,
and for Venus to be there, right?
Sagittarius.
And then he also got a strong Mars again for the year because Mars is in
mhm.
conjunct his Mercury.
And still in its sign of exaltation.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Both on his solar return and his solar arc.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, seeing all this tonight's kind of giving me a little hope.
I
I've
know,
been, I've
right?
been worried about the fall.
But if you look at
I
Trump's
don't know,
chart,
but
Trump's
yeah.
chart is also very, very promising.
Oh,
So
I hadn't
Right.
looked. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
You
know,
know,
he
it'd be
could be the dark
interesting.
horse that they don't see coming.
Yeah, right. And I think that that might be the actual race is Bobby Jr. with Trump
Mhm.
because the Democrats are kind of like a little bit too openly oblivious right now. They're not playing the
Well, I
game very
mean, we look at Biden, we highly doubt he'll make it another 4 years. And even if he's alive,
right.
My God,
how
I don't even think he's really there.
how much mental
Yeah.
health that's what we're saying. So it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, come on now, guys. You have to be blind. I don't even follow politics, and I can see
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems like the real race is gonna be, RFK Jr. and Trump. And
possibly.
so with both of their charts being so activated, it seems like that's really the case.
Hmm. And then Mars again being the MC, it's Mars is the MC of everything. And look, the Mars is in the 6th house, conjunct Mercury.
Yeah.
Service.
Well, maybe we should look at Trump's one week.
I
Yeah,
have
we could look at
avoided
this.
doing that because I don't. It's too people are too invested.
Yeah, and everybody's doing that. I thought maybe we could look at Bobby's chart because he's just kind of getting forgotten about right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I
nobody's
think that
looking.
and people are going to pick up on him as we get closer to the race because people are gonna, notice him, I think, because of the Uranus moving into his 11th house. I feel like it'll be bam, all of a sudden people are gonna be like, wow, oh, he's running. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know. Or, it's just gonna hit
Yeah.
people all of a sudden.
Yeah. And that means it's
Well,
going through his
hopefully,
10th house now. So that right there probably was preparing him for this. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A lot of the preparation you can see, North Node right on the MC.
Right at a nodal return too in
Yeah,
his natal chart. So, right? It was in his natal chart, or did I get that wrong? I don't remember. Scratch that.
I don't
Yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah, because no, forget it. I have to look at his chart. Are we ready
No,
for this question?
his nodes are in Cancer and
Yeah,
Capricorn.
yeah, I think I
yeah,
was thinking of the progressed.
Uranus on that south node.
Right.
All right, so this is his,
When his nodes, and I was just gonna say with his nodes being in Cancer and Capricorn, it's really about home, family, and work,
Mhm.
and you know what he potentially could be doing for our country is bringing more balance to home, and work.
Yeah,
You know,
the work home balance.
hmm
Mm. Mhm.
Hey, and the
is
polarity
that
point of his chart, because Pluto at 24 Leo would make it 24 Aquarius, which I know in evolutionary astrology, the polarity point kind of works along with the nodes. So that's up in the seventh house in Aquarius. So
Mm.
that looks like a good
mm,
president to me, too.
yeah. So were the nodes in a square for him recently? Is that
Almost, or is it?
I
It's going
think
into a
it
square.
A
just
square,
It's
square
moving
to
into
what?
a square when it gets into.
his
Oh,
natal,
oh, the nodes now. Okay, I gotcha.
yeah, the natal to
Um,
transiting, which
Yeah,
is usually
yeah, at
a
some point they
turning,
crossroad
were, yeah.
push.
turning point. Yeah, yeah. So it's almost there, really. So yeah, yeah. It's usually quite triggering and transformative when they square each other.
Right, the decision to run as an independent and not
Yeah.
under a party
Mhm.
is a difficult decision to make, you know.
Yeah, they never win. So it's like really, really difficult to make that. And that's a lot of
Yeah.
money going in and effort and energy into campaigning
Hmm
for something that has never worked before. But I
Right,
believe America is ready for something different anyway. So maybe they'll be more open to it this time.
right. I know that
Well, it's been
years ago
long
when
past
Bernie
time for
was
that two-party
running,
system to go.
yeah, it is time though.
Mhm.
I know when Bernie was running before, people had wished that he ran as an independent so that they could have voted for him. And
Right.
people were wanting it then, you know.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
I'm really curious how the third party voting works out this time because it really feels like there's um something revolutionary happening in our country. Obviously, with that Pluto return,
Mhm.
for the country.
And Uranus is trining his nodes, his north node. So it could be, from 19 degrees to his north node here. So that could be like an unexpected, shift in the direction that the nodes want to take him that's fated. Hmm.
Yeah, and Uranus is very it it has power to it. I
Oh
just know
yeah.
that.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. I
when
felt,
it wants to make something happen, it happens.
and it's immediate, like kind of like, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
He might just be sitting in the presidential seat going, what on earth happened?
yeah. How did I get here? I didn't even think this was gonna happen.
Just a stab in the dark, and here I am.
Mhm.
Like I said, I believe that in Trump's chart, there's something about Uranus. I'm not sure if he's having a Uranus return or Uranus, because I think it's in Gemini or um, there's something with Uranus in his chart. I don't remember. But yeah, his chart is very, very active. Very, very active. He has a lot of his sun and his Uranus is in Gemini. That's what it is. And with Jupiter transiting his Gemini house, it's going to give him some, positive triggers probably. Jupiter being there too, retrograding. So I don't know if I cut out
Right.
unstable.
A little bit. You're cutting out just a little bit. I think you were saying that Jupiter is going to be going over his sun and Uranus. Yeah.
Well, his natal Uranus is 17
Gemini.
Gemini.
And that's where the Venus Sun Cazimi took place. And also,
and his North Node is 20 Gemini conjunct his 22-degree Gemini Sun.
So Jupiter is like really, really, giving him a little blow up there, so.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. With RFK Jr. having a Jupiter return, and then with Trump having Jupiter on his Uranus, it's like, oh, well, what is the old god, the gods fighting, it's what it feels like.
Yeah, even though to me they're not gods, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. No, I know. The planets, the archetypes, I see them as like the Greek gods up there, like, this is my guy, and this is my guy over here,
Yep, I get it. Wow.
I didn't know Trump was a 29-degree Leo rising.
Yes, he
so
is.
his ascendant is conjunct this dude's Pluto.
His ascendant is on Regulus, so that fixed star of kings who also fall from grace. Yeah.
Right.
I kind of know his chart pretty well.
Interesting.
Right. People know Trump's chart, because we've been looking at it. Yeah.
Cool.
Well.
For his Saturn is gonna in the 8th house sextiling his Mercury. So Saturn is at least supporting him, his mental process, and his Mars in the 6th house.
Right.
Okay.
Having Saturn in the 8th house there, he's really getting into the truth. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys have to say before we wrap this up? I think we've been at this about an hour.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. I'm good. I'm pretty hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful after looking at this chart.
Yeah. All right. Let's stop.
All right.
Let's say thank you.
Yep.
I need a clip that says thank you for joining us.
All right.
Thanks
for watching.
It's still recording.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you.
That's going to be a lot of work to chop this out. We're gonna be like,
hey, just leave it. Leave the bloopers because I don't think anybody's going to watch it all the way to the end.
Bye.